So um, imagine putting a tiny harness on an 8-week-old, 10-pound puppy
Right.
and just watching it try to literally drag your living room sofa across the floor.
Oh, yeah.
That relentless hardwired engine, I mean, that absolute refusal to just quit is what you are actually bringing home when you decide to get a Siberian Husky.
It's a profound shock to the system for anyone who hasn't experienced it firsthand because,
Yeah.
people have this visual of bringing home a tiny, fluffy creature that's just going to become their loyal little shadow.
Right, hanging on there every word. The
Exactly.
classic Velcro companion expectation, right?
Mm.
But today, okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a really extensive breakdown from the Husky Health Academy.
Yeah, their notes on puppy growth, genetics, and early development.
Right. And the central thesis here is that if you bring home a Husky expecting a golden retriever in a snowsuit, you are basically setting yourself up for a decade of frustration.
A total collision with reality at high speed. And the reason for that collision, well, it's written right into their DNA. If you look at their origins with the Chukchi people in northeastern Siberia, I mean, these dogs were engineered to survive and work in some of the absolute most unforgiving environments on the planet.
Right. They were bred to haul light loads over these vast, icy expanses.
Yes, but crucially, and this is the big thing, they were bred to make independent decisions on the trail.
Because, I mean, if you're pulling a sled across a frozen sea and the human at the back yells, "Go straight," but the lead dog senses weak ice under the snow.
You do not want a dog that blindly obeys.
Exactly. Blind obedience in that environment gets the entire team killed. Like, you literally need a dog that thinks for itself.
You need a dog that possesses the confidence to say, no, I am making an executive decision here. We are going left.
Right.
That's their survival mechanism.
Hmm.
And the mission for our deep dive today is to really explore how that inherent hardwired independence, it doesn't just magically switch on when they reach adulthood.
No, not at all.
It dictates their behavior from day one of puppyhood. And understanding the mechanics behind this trait is honestly the only way to raise a confident, cooperative husky instead of just spending their entire life fighting their authentic nature.
It's so fascinating that you mentioned this instinct to make independent decisions, because that exact trait, the one that keeps them alive on the ice, it becomes an immediate factor in how an independent little mind interacts with the modern world for the first time, right?
Absolutely.
The data highlights a really critical socialization window for puppies, occurring roughly between 3 and 12 weeks of age.
Yeah, and during those 9 weeks, the puppy's brain is incredibly malleable. It's actively building neural pathways based on what it encounters out in the world.
Right.
But for an independent breed like the husky, what's fascinating here is that the stakes of this window are exceptionally high.
Okay, let's use an analogy here to kind of visualize this.
Yeah.
Think of that critical socialization window as a limited time software update for the dog's brain.
I like that.
While the window is open, you can download new information, like the sound of a vacuum cleaner, or the sight of a person in a wheelchair, or, the presence of a loud truck. And the brain categorizes it safe.
Yes.
But once that window closes at 12 weeks, the brain's firewall goes up. Introducing new code becomes, incredibly difficult.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it. And if a husky misses that software update, if that socialization phase is skipped or handled poorly, their natural independence takes a really dark turn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it morphs into extreme wariness. An unsocialized husky doesn't become a clingy, dependent dog seeking comfort from you. They become highly suspicious of any unfamiliar stimuli.
Okay.
You are basically compounding a survival trait that is already very pronounced.
So how do you actually build genuine confidence while the firewall is still down?
Yeah.
Because just flooding a puppy with chaotic stimuli doesn't seem like it would build confidence. It seems like it would just cause a system crash.
Flooding is actually one of the absolute worst things an owner can do. Socialization must be positive. Controlled exposure. You have to let the puppy explore these new, potentially scary things at its own pace.
So it's kind of like dealing with a fiercely independent teenager,
Totally.
right? Just because they act bold and, pushy doesn't mean they actually have underlying confidence. Letting the puppy explore at its own pace builds genuine confidence rather than just untested boldness.
That is such a perfect way to put it. If a husky puppy sees a weird, noisy garbage can, forcing them to walk up to it just triggers their flight response. It builds stress.
Yeah, you're just dragging them toward the scary thing.
Exactly. Letting them approach it on their own terms, investigate it, and realize It isn't a threat that is what builds a foundation of genuine confidence.
Which brings up a really interesting dynamic regarding other dogs.
Mhm.
The research heavily emphasizes their pack-oriented history, right?
Right.
So instinctually, you might think the best way to socialize them is to take them to a massive, chaotic dog park and just let them sort it out with 50 other dogs.
And that is a recipe for disaster. Yeah. While early positive exposure to other dogs is absolutely crucial for a sociable adult temperament, you have to factor in over-arousal.
Okay, what does that look like?
Well, because of their intense pack drive, a husky puppy's nervous system can easily get overwhelmed in a chaotic, free-for-all setting. They just don't know how to self-regulate yet.
They get completely overstimulated, which probably leads to, what, defensive behavior, or learning terrible habits from older, poorly trained dogs.
Precisely. What they require are structured, well-managed socialization sessions.
Like what?
Think of controlled one-on-one puppy playdates, or small, heavily supervised classes where they can engage their pack instincts, learn canine body language, and then practice calming down.
Okay, but wait, let me push back on this timeline for a second.
Mhm.
We are talking about this rapid developmental phase, and the conventional advice in these materials is that training needs to begin the absolute moment the puppy steps foot in your house.
Yes, immediately.
But if their brains are undergoing this massive, vulnerable software update at 8 or 10 weeks old, why not just wait until they're a little older and have a longer attention span? Let puppies be puppies. Aren't we risking burning them out with strict obedience commands so early?
I get that a lot. But waiting creates an incredibly steep uphill battle. You are fighting established genetics and habits rather than molding a blank slate.
Okay, so is there a difference between training and shaping at this age then?
That is a vital distinction to make. When the literature says start training immediately, it does not mean forcing an 8-week-old puppy to do military-style obedience drills for an hour.
Right, that would be awful.
That will absolutely cause burnout. At that age, training is entirely about shaping daily habits. It's about building the infrastructure of your relationship.
Mhm.
And nowhere is that infrastructure more tested than with recall, getting the dog to come back to you when called.
Oh man, the ultimate challenge with this breed.
Yeah.
Because again, going back to their genetics, a husky does not possess that innate sense of deference, right?
No, not at all.
Like a border collie might return to you simply because they feel an obligation to check in with the shepherd.
Right, but a husky operates on a completely different psychological framework. They are physically capable of covering vast distances quickly once grown, and they don't return out of a sense of obligation.
So what are they doing when you call them?
When you call a husky, they are actively weighing their options. They hear you calling, but they also see a fascinating squirrel, or they smell something interesting in the brush.
Mm.
Their independent brain runs a quick cost-benefit analysis. What is my human offering that is better than what I'm currently doing?
Huh. So your counteroffer has to be spectacular. You are essentially trying to rig that cost-benefit analysis in your favor.
You are building a history of massive payouts. Early recall shaping has to happen in short, frequent, extremely low distraction sessions.
Got it.
And the rewards must be high value. Dry kibble will not work. We are talking about real chicken, enthusiastic praise, or access to their absolute favorite toy. The goal is to make returning to you the best possible option.
Make it a no-brainer for them.
Exactly.
And what about when they are physically tethered to you? The leash. It's so interesting how this specific tool clashes so violently with their genetic purpose. Like, we get frustrated when our dogs pull on the leash, but a Siberian Husky was literally bred over centuries to feel resistance across their chest and lean into it with all their might.
That pulling instinct is incredibly strong, and you can feel its power even in a tiny puppy.
Oh, for sure.
The moment they feel tension on their collar or harness, their muscle memory tells them to pull harder. This is why introducing loose leash walking must happen early, to establish a habit before the deep-rooted pulling instinct is reinforced.
Right, because if they learn at 3 months old that pulling on the leash successfully gets them to the fire hydrant they want to sniff,
You are inadvertently training them to be a sled dog on your neighborhood sidewalk.
and trying to untrain a genetically hardwired, heavily reinforced sled dog at 2 years old is a miserable experience, I imagine.
It's awful. You shape the behavior early by stopping the moment there is tension and only moving forward when the leash is slack.
So we've mapped out how to shape their independent minds. Let's pivot to the physical reality of raising these athletes. Because the sheer physical toll of husky puppyhood is staggering.
It really is.
Let's start with the biting. New owners are often genuinely shocked by how intense and persistent a husky puppy's mouthing and biting can be.
Well, it is intense because they are unusually strong for their age, and their play style is naturally very physical, very mouth-heavy.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, based on the notes. The documentation strongly warns against using harsh physical corrections or loud scolding to stop the biting, which ruins their bite inhibition.
Yes.
Which feels counterintuitive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
If you have a strong, bitey puppy clamping down on your hand, the human instinct is to yell no or physically push them away. Why does that fail?
It fails because of how their nervous system operates. When you yell or physically correct a puppy, you immediately shift their brain from learning mode into the sympathetic nervous system's fight or flight mode.
Oh, okay.
If they get scared, they aren't learning bite inhibition, they are just reacting to a threat. Alternatively, because they are a rough and tumble breed, they might interpret your physical pushback as an escalation of play.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they think, oh, excellent, we are wrestling now. And they bite harder.
You're just throwing gasoline on the fire. So to teach them that human skin is fragile, you have to keep them in learning mode.
You provide consistent, calm feedback by simply withdrawing your attention the moment a bite becomes too hard. The game immediately stops.
Just totally disengage.
Exactly. You stand up, cross your arms, and turn away. For a highly social puppy that desperately wants to engage with you, the sudden loss of your attention is an incredibly clear, effective consequence.
That makes perfect sense. Now, obviously, a tired puppy is less likely to bite in the first place. But navigating exercise for a husky puppy seems like walking a tightrope.
It is genuinely one of the trickiest balancing acts for a new owner. Everyone knows adult huskies require massive amounts of exercise to stay sane.
Right.
But a puppy's physiology is vastly different. Their joints, ligaments, and growth plates are still actively forming, and they can be seriously damaged by overexertion.
Let's bring in another analogy here. Think of a husky puppy like a high-end sports car, but it's currently operating with a governed engine.
Oh, we like this.
The engine, their spirit, their genetic drive, their boundless energy wants to go 100 miles an hour right now. But the chassis, their developing joints and soft growth plates, just isn't built to handle that kind of torque yet. If you push the chassis too hard, you're going to permanently bend the frame.
That is a perfect visualization. The process of growth plate calcification takes time. Forced, sustained exercise, like taking a 4-month-old puppy on a 3-mile run on pavement, can cause microfractures and permanent structural damage.
And for a breed that relies heavily on its athletic build later in life, you cannot risk it.
No. Short, structured play and brief walks are essential. Letting them dictate the pace of their play is key. When they are tired, they will stop.
Which brings up another physiological requirement that shocks many owners: the sheer volume of sleep they need. The data points to 18 to 20 hours of sleep a day. For a breed famous for never stopping, that sounds like a typo.
It sounds absurd, but I reassure you, it is completely normal and biologically necessary. Growing huskies are undergoing immense physical growth, but more importantly, massive neurological processing.
Right, all that socialization.
Exactly. All that new stimuli requires downtime to be encoded into memory. If they don't get that sleep, they become overtired, cranky, and vastly more prone to the intense biting we just discussed.
Which naturally introduces the crate. Because if a puppy doesn't know how to settle down on its own, the crate provides a necessary calm down spot for all this energy. But framing the crate properly seems vital. It's not a cage for an independent dog.
It must be introduced as a den. Canines have an ancestral need for a small, enclosed sanctuary where they can decompress. If introduced gradually, the crate becomes their safe space.
And it ties right into potty training. The mechanics of house training are pretty standard, frequent trips outside, managing their space, praising success. But when applying this to a husky, owners hit a wall because of that lack of eagerness to please we talked about earlier.
Right. An eager-to-please breed might learn to potty outside quickly simply because they realize it makes you happy. A husky puppy's independent brain doesn't care if you are happy.
Ouch, but true.
If it is raining outside and your living room rug is warm and dry, their internal logic dictates that the rug is the superior location.
So it's not that they don't understand what you want, it's that they don't agree with your priorities.
Exactly. It just means owners need extra patience. You simply have to out-stubborn them by managing their environment so tightly that they never get the opportunity to make the wrong choice.
Okay, so let's fast forward. You've navigated the sleep schedules, the biting, the potty training. You have a growing, well-rested athlete in your home. Once they've mastered the inside of the house, their independent brain naturally looks to the perimeter. What happens when they get curious about what is on the other side of your backyard fence?
You are now dealing with a notorious escape artist. It is a breed hallmark. And the guidance here is unequivocal. You must secure your yard before the puppy ever tests the boundaries.
Let's dig into the neurology of why that before is so critical. Like, why is one successful escape such a disaster?
Because when a husky successfully escapes once, say, they figure out how to dig under a fence, they experience a massive hit of dopamine. The act of escaping is incredibly self-rewarding,
So it becomes an ingrained habit.
deeply reinforced, and incredibly hard to break. This is why prevention is better than correction. You need digging barriers sunk into the ground, tall fences, secure latches. You have to build Alcatraz on day one.
Keeping them safely contained is one pillar, but the material also emphasizes lifelong structural health, specifically regarding their weight. For an athletic working dog, the temptation might be to bulk them up, Rido.
It's a very common misconception. But keeping a lean body condition is vital for joint development, considering the athletic demands they will face. Owners should focus on steady, proportional growth monitored by a vet.
Rather than hitting a specific number on the scale.
Exactly.
Speaking of vets, there is a massive catch-22 in the puppy development timeline that we need to address. We talked about how the critical socialization window closes around 12 weeks, but a puppy's core vaccination series usually isn't completed until they're about 16 weeks old. How does an owner safely socialize an independent husky puppy when it's medically dangerous to put their paws on the ground in a public space?
It is the great paradox of puppy rearing. But vet-guided vaccination and parasite schedules dictate when the puppy can safely go to public parks and meet unfamiliar dogs. You cannot compromise on that.
So how do you get the software update downloaded safely?
You get creative. You carry the puppy through busy areas. You put them in a wagon or a pet stroller. You sit in the back of your SUV in a busy parking lot and just watch the world go by.
Ah, so they see and hear it, but stay safe.
Right. You can expose them to a massive variety of sights and sounds without ever risking exposure to contaminated soil.
Okay, so what does this all mean for my sanity? I mean, for any exhausted puppy owner listening right now, when do they actually calm down?
Here is the reality check. True adult temperament settles in around 2 to 3 years of age.
Wow, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, shifting from that frantic puppy intensity to a measured but still highly energetic adult, it takes time.
Well, let's bring all these threads together to wrap up this deep dive. If you are bringing a Siberian Husky into your life, start socialization and recall early. Respect their growing joints with limited exercise and tons of sleep. Use calm feedback for biting and build Alcatraz-level containment before they realize they want to escape.
And honestly, the biggest mistake new owners make is expecting natural deference or a desire to please. By working with their authentic, independent nature rather than against it, you build a much smoother relationship.
It is fundamentally about respecting who they actually are. You know, we spent this whole time talking about dogs, but it really makes you wonder how much of what we label as stubbornness or difficulty in our pets, in our kids, or even in our coworkers is really just a mismatch between their authentic, hardwired nature and our own unexamined expectations.